What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome on into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got an update around Justin Fields. We got some good news, and we got some bad news we need to discuss, but everybody was definitely holding their breath early on this morning as it looked bad. The beat reporters were suggesting this could be a season-long injury, but turns out to not be the worst-case scenario for our guy, JF7. But if we get any more updates around this injury situation, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on today's show. Help us close in here on 8,000 subs here on the channel. Appreciate all the support as of late. But if we get any more updates, no matter what time, what I'm doing, we'll have a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that subscribe button today. All right, so the update we got coming in from Tom Pelissero saying the initial report on Jets quarterback Justin Fields is there is no fracture in the toe that got stepped on in practice today. He's getting an MRI as the team continues to gather information. Now, they did mention this is a dislocated toe. It's not the big toe, so that's some good news there. And listen, everybody can breathe now. Like, I was making that instant reaction video early on this morning, and my heart just went out for Justin Fields because this was like the first time in his NFL career he really had a team fully buy into him and his play style. Because as we know, the Jets, they're going to be that run-first offense, rely on that defense, and old-school football mentality, and that's the type of team you need for a quarterback like Justin Fields. But still, this toe injury, and this is the bad news on today's show, it will still have major impact because it's not like Justin Fields is like a Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Jared Goff, statuesque style of quarterback when they're winning from the pocket. They're very surgical with deploying the football. Fields obviously relies on his athleticism. That's the one plus he has in his game as a quarterback. So if he's hobbled up by that toe, I really don't know how the Jets will use him in this offense. And that's why I think they should put him on ice until he is 100%. Like, even if week one rolls around and he's like, hey, I'm 98, 99% ready to go, you can just roll out with Tyrod Taylor for a week because Tyrod is a high-end backup. I think he can run this system at a very, very high level, very similar to Justin Fields. So just let him get to 100% healthy. Don't have him out there for any practices, and then you just roll out with Tyrod. And Glenn, when he was talking to the media, he was showing Tyrod Taylor a lot of love. Glenn he kept on slipping up his words. It was pretty funny in the press conference. He kept on saying Tyrod got hurt. He was just in a panic because obviously his franchise guy, his quarterback, just went down, and he was a little nervous. But he says we have an outstanding backup in Tyrod Taylor. And then he also carried on to say this earlier on today, saying the players really gravitate to him. When he says something, everybody really listens, even the coaching staff. He's been around this league a long time, and he knows what it takes to win. And that's a very good point by Glenn. Like, it's not like you have a backup quarterback. Maybe it's their third, fourth, fifth year in the league. Like, Tyrod is a proven veteran. He is a high-end backup, and he is honestly a perfect backup for Justin Fields. He can run a similar offense. Obviously, he's not the athlete that Fields is, but he does probably have a better arm from within the pocket at this point compared to Justin Fields. And, Aaron Glenn, he was also talking about just how you navigate this injury bug, because if anybody knows how to navigate it, it is Aaron Glenn. Like the Detroit Lions, that defense last year, Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil, like Carlton Davis, all of their true blue chippers on that side of the field all went out, and they were all out for the season. But what did Glenn do in that Week 18 game versus the Minnesota Vikings? He had a genius game plan. He was able to slow down Justin Jefferson. So even though we may have a backup in at the quarterback position, Glenn can still navigate it. And honestly, I think this could be a thing where the team can rally behind Tyrod because, that locker room, they love him. They love Justin Fields as well. But when Tyrod steps in there, I could see this team being like, hey, we got to do everything we can to have, Tyrod Taylor be the most comfortable quarterback that Sunday. And it could be week one versus Pittsburgh Steelers with that bad man Aaron Rodgers returning to MetLife Stadium. But let's show Justin Fields some love here on today's show. Type those sevens down below in the comments section. Obviously, an ideal situation, but definitely crisis averted here, because when the initial reporting was coming out, we were saying Fields might be out for the season. People were speculating it could be a torn Achilles, but it's just a dislocated toe. Again, once we get more updates on how long he could be out for, we'll get a video for you guys ASAP. But I do want to talk about just some Justin Fields replacements here on the back half of today's show. Again, I think the most likely replacement, even if Fields was ruled out for the whole year, was this guy, Tyrod Taylor. And like I said, he's a high-end backup, high-character guy. And, I think Tyrod, again, like I was saying, he's a perfect backup for Justin Fields and this system. You don't have to, change the whole offense where, let's just say they do go trade for Kirk Cousins. We'll talk about that for a second, you would probably have to have a whole different offensive scheme because Kirk doesn't have mobility. Tyrod does. But I do think with Tyrod's situation, he's a great backup to have if it's just for like 3-4 weeks. He can step in, man the ship. But if you want Tyrod to be your starting quarterback, like I say, Fields has to miss, first 10, 11, 12 games of the season. Do you want to roll out Tyrod that long? Maybe that's when the Jets try to go trade for another quarterback. And, that guy could be Kirk Cousins. Obviously, he's the backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. They're shifting to this Michael Penix era down there in Atlanta. And, Kirk still wants to play. And it's funny, when Kirk was leaving Washington, his decision was coming down to the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets. And the Jets actually offered him more money. Obviously, he chose to go to Minnesota and play with the Vikings and, Mike Zimmer at the time. But I saw this photo on Twitter. Thought it was absolutely hilarious, the bat signal calling for Kirk Cousins. But, I think Kirk, honestly, I think he's a little underrated at this point because people just think he's a completely cooked product, can't play in the NFL anymore. I still think he's a top 32 quarterback in the league. He was dealing with that elbow and shoulder injury last year, which was criminally underreported. People were not giving this enough attention, and I think that was a big reason when you saw Kirk first half of the year, he was balling in Atlanta. He started to get that offense rolling. They were 6-3 at a time. Then he had that injury versus the New Orleans Saints, and he tried to play through it, and he just couldn't get any velocity on the football. But now with him recovering from that, another offseason, I don't think it would be a terrible option. But again, would the Jets want to eat his contract? Maybe they try to get a trade where Atlanta's, eating most of it. But who knows? Maybe Kirk Cousins could finally end up in a New York Jets uniform. But a guy I'm a massive fan of, Anthony Richardson, one of the most polarizing players and one of the most electric players in the National Football League. And I haven't really talked about Anthony Richardson too much here on the channel, but I am the leader of the Anthony Richardson fan club. I would be all in on this. Now, this would obviously be a scenario where Fields is, ruled out for the entire season. And then you go trade for Anthony Richardson, him and Tyrod Taylor kind of duke it out to be the starter. But, I'll tell you what, Richardson, obviously a super high ceiling, but a super low floor as well. And, kind of the same conversations we have around Justin Fields, the same conversations people have around Anthony Richardson. Can he win from the pocket? We know you're a dynamic athlete, one of the best athletes at the QB position in the NFL, but can you develop as a passer? When it's those 3rd and 7 situations and, you're running, you're only protecting maybe the 5 offensive linemen and a running back, and you just got to sit in that pocket, go through your progressions, and find a receiver to get that first down. Maybe he could be an interesting choice for the New York Jets, but, definitely a polarizing guy. I could also see the Colts. Obviously they spent the 4th overall pick on the guy. Maybe they would be willing to, dish him out for a 4th, 5th round pick if, let's just say Daniel Jones impresses during training camp in the preseason. They're fully rolling with him. Maybe he could be on the trade block, and maybe the New York Jets call if this Fields injury is serious. But another guy that could be dealt before the start of the season, Jameis Winston. Now, I would assume the Giants, especially if they do give Jackson Dart that backup quarterback nod, they would probably want to move off Jameis because that's a pretty high-end quarterback 3, and maybe a desperate team that, catches injury bug like the New York Jets just did could trade for him, but I would really have no need for Jameis Winston. If you're going to roll out with a guy, even again, like if Fields is out for the whole year, just ride out with Tyrod Taylor. Then if Tyrod for some reason would get hurt, then maybe you pick up the phone for a guy like Jameis Winston, but I don't really think the Jets have any need here. I think Tyrod and Jameis are a little different styles of quarterback, but they're on the same tier in my opinion. And plus Jameis, he's a solid athlete. He can move in the pocket a little bit, but he's not the athlete that Tyrod Taylor is, so you would have to change the offense just a little bit. But another guy that you wouldn't have to change the offense at all, Malik Willis. Malik Willis actually stepped in for the Green Bay Packers this past season. He won 2 football games and actually looked pretty solid. Now, again, Matt LaFleur, one of the smartest minds in the National Football League, he completely changed that offense to cater to his strengths. But also we've seen Tanner Engstrad and this Jets offense, they were already catering to Justin Fields' strengths. So clearly they have an ability to adapt, and maybe they could change that offense, to put Malik Willis in a positive situation. But I think that's a trade where you can maybe just toss him. It could be the classic, you send them a 7th round pick, you send them a 6th round pick, they send you a 7th and Malik Willis back. You see those trades go down all the time. But I don't think the Jets have really a need to add another quarterback unless Fields is ruled out for, the whole season, which, the latest report is suggesting that he has a chance to go week 1. So I don't think that's the case. But what say you on this one? Should the Jets add another quarterback? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no down below in the comment section. I'm cool with just riding out with Tyrod. You still got Adrian Martinez, Brady Cook. But again, I just don't really think the Jets have a need to go get another guy. Now, like I was saying, if you guys want any more updates around Justin Fields and just this whole New York Jets team, I'm your guy. This is the channel for you. So hit that subscribe button today. Don't miss anything around your New York Jets. See you guys next time. As always, go Jets.